Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm here to talk about the huge DC crossover event that happened on the CW this past week involving Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. So I'm recording today is Saturday, December 3rd, 2016. This whole event started on Monday, November 28th, ending on Thursday, December 1st, 2016. So guys, just a quick reminder, if you haven't seen my videos before, I'm recording my genuine reactions to the episode. Usually they're the same night that I watched them for the first time, but given that this was a 4-night event, I wanted to give it some time, sort everything out I'm going to talk about, because there's a whole lot to cover. So you are getting my first genuine reaction to the whole event, though. Also, my thoughts, theories, and opinions are all based on what I see on the show. I haven't read any of the comics, so I have none of that spoiler information from those comic books to help me kind of gauge where the show could go. So it's all based off what I predict is based off of what I have seen or what I've picked up from the show itself. So there is that. Also, I'm making this just for fun, so no money's being made out of this. All photos you see on the screen are probably from Google, especially if they're specifically from the TV show itself. It's just to make this more visually appealing for you guys. So there is that, unless I include myself in a picture, but that's probably not the case for this one. But just keep that in mind. This is just a great way to keep track of what I thought or what I predicted or what I pick up as I first saw the whole event as itself. Because as you know, the more times you see something or the more times you talk about something, your perspective is going to change. You're going to learn things that you probably didn't pick up to begin with. So this is just for fun as well. And also, guys, this crossover event is pretty much why I started making these after show videos, because I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of mesh all the different shows together, and this crossover event was a great way to do that. And I'm a huge sucker for crossovers. So with that said, guys, usually each episode would get 10 minutes. So this time I'm going to try to fit everything in within 40 minutes. Hopefully I can do it in less, though, but I'm talking about 4 different episodes here. So with that said, let's start with the clock, and let's begin with something new that we learned in this episode. So first off, let's start with Supergirl, episode 208, titled Medusa. Usually I don't talk about Supergirl, even though I love the show, but since it is part of the crossover, let's start with this. Crossover characters include Barry and Cisco from The Flash. This episode takes place around the time of the American Thanksgiving. It also picks up on the fact that Eliza, Kara's adopted mom, sees Mon-El's crush on Kara. So because of that, we got more of the Kara-Mon-El dynamic, crushes, jealousy. They play Monopoly together, fear of losing one another. We also learn that Kryptonians and Daxamites share similar DNA. Comic book readers will know that. I did not know that, so there's that. Also, you get Mon-El kissing Kara when she starts blaming herself for Mon-El being on the verge of death due to the Kryptonian virus that was released. Now, seriously, guys, when this kiss happened, I had the exact same feeling as I did when Oliver and Felicity had their confession all the way back on Arrow in episode 223, before we realized it was Oliver was trying to use the fact that Slade was spying on them. So he confessed his love to Felicity so that Slade would think that Felicity was the woman that he loved most as part of their plan. Not knowing that trade at the time, though, when Oliver said what he did to Felicity in that moment, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like goosebumps all over. I was like squeal state of emotion right there. And I got those exact same feelings when Mon-El kissed Kara, when he was comforting moments before doing that. I loved it. And then it totally bummed me out that he just claims to forget it afterwards. Although from the looks of it afterwards, when she walks away, it looks like he remembers. So I think he's just trying to spare himself the possible rejection. So I'm loving these two for sure, though. But also at Thanksgiving, Alex finally tells her mom, Eliza, that she is gay and that she has now accepted it as her new normal. Although Eliza seemed to have some kind of suspicions that that is what Alex was trying to tell her. So the whole episode is basically separate from the crossover in the sense that Cadmus was unleashing this alien-specific virus from Krypton that targeted every other alien species except for them. So at the Fortress of Solitude, Kara learns from her father about Project Medusa, which is the virus that he had created to target non-Kryptonians. We also got to see John Jones going up against Cyborg Superman, aka the original Hank Henshaw. We also got to see Lena Luthor double-crossing her own mother, or adopted mother, Lillian Luthor, who is the head of Project Cadmus, and Lena's double-cross causes Medusa to be inactive or neutralized. It's one of the two. So, that was pretty much separate from the crossover, but throughout the whole episode, you do see Cisco's breaches. One happened during the Thanksgiving meal, another happened at the fight at L Corp, and then the final breach was at the very end in Kara's apartment, where Barry and Cisco finally jumped through. They explained that it kind of had to take a few attempts in order to get them there, so I'm wondering if those previous breaches was them testing out the fact that they were on the right Earth. So Kara officially meets Cisco in the last 1 or 2 minutes of the episode, and she gets to hug Barry, saying that she kind of had a hunch that those breaches were because of him, remembering the last time that she saw him jump through a portal. And Barry calls up the favor with Kara, and she answers, "What are we up against?" No questions asked, she's willing to help. And the thing about this, though, is that with the breaches appearing 2 other times in the episode before their final arrival, I really wanted Barry to run through those breaches, show up and help, especially the one at L Corp. He could have jumped right in and kind of helped distract Cyborg Superman so that Kara would be able to get into position. I mean, the type of situation that was being dealt with in this episode with the whole Project Medusa virus going around, this is the type of situation that I wish Barry was able to help Kara with, instead of what he ended up helping her with last season in episode 118, when he had to help her against Livewire and the Silver Banshee. And technically, they didn't even win in the end. It was the citizens of the city who banded together to stop these two from harming Supergirl. So it's like, I really would have preferred Barry pitching in on this type of situation for Kara as opposed to what had happened last season. Even though last season, the dynamic between the two was fantastically set up. So anyways, that's what happened with the breaches. So otherwise in the episode, you get another spacecraft who's looking for Mon-El since he's wanted for death. You also get Eliza curing Mon-El of being infected by the virus, and John Jones being cured from the white Martian blood poisoning he was dealing with. Because in the episode, you get to kind of see a merged version of the white Martian and the green Martian together, which kind of gave you the white Martian figure, but with the darker green Martian tone. So there's that. Also, you get Maggie confessing to Alex about her feelings, and it leads to kisses. I'm assuming it would lead to more, but it just shows them sharing a very passionate kiss together. So let's move on to The Flash, episode 308, titled Invasion. Now, this one is the official part 1 of the superhero crossover. So crossover characters include Kara from Supergirl, Oliver Diggle, Thea, Felicity, and Lila from Arrow, Sarah, Ray, Professor Stein, Jax, and Mick Rory from Legends of Tomorrow. It's quite a huge cast thing going on, though. But Lila reveals in Central City that the Dominators last attacked Earth for a recon mission back in the 1950s. We also learned that Supergirl is from Earth 38. Cisco's tracker on Barry when he landed there in National City back on Supergirl 118, had him at Earth 38. It also showed the same arrival scene from the Supergirl episode of Barry and Cisco traveling to the portal into Kara's appointment. So that's also included in the Flash episode. So you technically didn't have to watch the Supergirl episode in order to watch the crossover, but nonetheless, it was still a great episode. Moving on, though. So for Flash, though, the team regroups at the old Star Labs hangar that Barry owns. As you can remember, the old Dr. Wells, a.k.a. Earbark Thong, who was killed in Season 1, had left it to Barry after he gave his video confession of killing Nora Allen. Also at this hangar, test run has been the team going up against Kara, who is the stand-in alien. It's kind of so that the team can get an understanding of what it's like to attack an alien, but she's pretty much remains indestructible. She's just flying in the air, everyone's throwing everything they have at her, and she just throws it right back as if she's swatting a fly. So that's pretty funny. Also, the episode brings back the future message that Barry left for Rip Hunter. This message is first brought up on the Legends of Tomorrow show, and we actually hear for the first time what the message is, and that is future Barry warning Rip Hunter about the repercussions of something he had done. Barry believes it's referring to the Flashpoint. Because of this, there's tension in everyone once they find out, especially when Cisco wants the truth to be shared to everybody, which forces Barry to tell everyone before they go into battle against the Dominators. This is where Diggle learns about baby Sarah being his first child before Flashpoint happened. Now he has baby John. So because of this, the tension leads to a split in the team. They are the ones that, and this leads to the ones going to stop the Dominators to rescue the president. They end up being mind controlled by the Dominators, leaving Oliver and Barry left behind to try to stop them. So the mind control is stopped when Barry manipulates Kara into destroying the device. He actually makes himself, when he phases, so that when she tries to collide with him, she just goes straight through him and into the machine itself. So that was pretty cool. Also, we saw Wally eventually convincing HR to agree to secretly train him. Though I want to point out that HR did refuse to do that at first. But after the Wally showing his potential and then getting his ass kicked by Supergirl, HR agrees after seeing that Wally does have potential and he wants to help harness that. Sorry, my throat's a little weird. Also, we find out that Professor Stein discovers that he now has a grown daughter. That is the mysterious woman he's been having visions about recently after going to the 80s and interacting with himself, which was, again, originally shown on the Legends of Tomorrow. Also, we see more of Oliver and Barry having a heart-to-heart about change in the past. We see Barry hearing about Oliver's parents for the first time, which is a great quick backstory setup to their appearance in part 2, aka the 100th episode, which I will talk about later on. But also, Oliver sees the time vault for the first time in this moment, and also Barry reveals that Iris West Allen is not the reporter that wrote that future article about a missing Flash. It's some other reporter with it. So now Barry's wondering what else has changed, or where does that leave Iris and Barry? Are they still together? Are they not? Did something happen? What changed to make her not write that article anymore? So there's that. Also, we see everyone is now back on board with Barry as a leader at the very end. Before anyone could really do anything about it, though, all the original Arrow characters are abducted by the Dominators. So that's Sarah, Diggle, Thea, Ray, and Oliver. So that's the end of the Flash portion of the crossover. So moving on to part 2 is Arrow, episode 508, titled Invasion. It is the 100th episode of the crossover. So pretty much the crossover characters are Kara from Supergirl, Barry and Cisco from The Flash, Sarah, Ray, and Nathan Haywood from Legends of Tomorrow. Now, this episode is really mostly, you got two different portions of it. You got the one portion being the abducted superheroes experiencing altered reality centered around Oliver not going on the Queen's Gambit. This one is an homage to it being the 100th episode. And then the second part of the episode is the rest of the team in the real 2016 trying to locate those abducted superheroes of theirs. So there's that. So let's talk about the abducted superheroes. In this altered reality, we get Oliver's parents are alive, and Oliver is about to marry Laurel. And Oliver has no scars, no tattoos that he had acquired on Lian Yu, but since he never ended up there, he doesn't have them now. Also, we learn that Oliver is about to be the CEO of Queen Consolidated, while his father is about to be sworn in as mayor in, I think, less than 2 months. So there's that. We also learn that Thea is an entrepreneur. She's running Verdant, the Club Verdant, and she doesn't know that Malcolm is her father, and it doesn't look like he doesn't know either from the looks of it. Also, Thea initially doesn't want to leave this reality once she finds out that it's not real. Also, we find out from Malcolm that Tommy is a doctor working triple shifts at a Chicago hospital now, which is a great nod to the actor plays Tommy. Where was it? It's a great nod to the fact that Colin, who plays Tommy, is now on the show Chicago Med. So I thought it was pretty cool, pretty clever at that, though. Also, for Sarah, we find out that she never had a thing with Oliver. So there's that. But she's definitely a lot closer with Laurel from the looks of it as she comes in for the wedding. So there's that. For Diggle, he is the Hood with Felicity as his techie sidekick. They have the same Arrow Cave under the old campaign office, though. The current Arrow Cave back at the real 2016. But it's just the two of them. Also, Ray has Felicity as his fiance, and he's ready to buy out Queen Consolidated if Oliver doesn't step in as CEO. Also, we see the return of Malcolm Merlyn as the Dark Archer, Deathstroke, just the masked version, the League of Assassins, and Damien Dark and his Hive Ghost. You also get CGI holograms of not only Moira, Felicity, Laurel, and Robert Queen, but you also get CGI holograms of Tommy Merlyn and Roy Harper. So that was pretty cool too. It was great to see how they brought in all these different characters. Great to see where they could have ended up if things had gone differently. If that one key moment of Oliver getting on the Gambit was changed. And it was also great throughout that whole process to get all these different flashes. Whenever they got flashes of what their real reality was about, we get this whole montage. So Oliver meeting Diggle, Oliver's relationship with Felicity, Ray and Sarah's time over on Legends of Tomorrow. I think it was Laurel and Oliver might have had a flash moment, or a flashes moment, I should say. But it was great to see just all those different quick montages of what the last 100 episodes have been like. So that was pretty cool. Okay, so back in the reality, we get Felicity, Cisco, Curtis, Rory, and Renee working on getting a regulator to translate the Dominator technology that Cisco stole, which would help lead them to the coordinates of their captured friends. Once they locate the regulator, they call in Barry and Kara to help in securing that regulator from a doctor who has been altering herself with biotech. So basically you get a tag team duo thing going on between Barry and Kara. After all that's said and done, Felicity gets a location in space, which she sends the coordinates to the Wave Rider, which leads to Nathan Haywood picking up their captured friends as they're on the midst of being ambushed by a bunch of the alien spaceships after they try to escape. At the very end, we get Ray's theory on the Dominator's plan being that the hallucinated reality they were just in was a way to keep the human fighters distracted as the Dominators probe their mind for intel about the metahumans. Dominators are almost complete on their weapon. Weapon is unsure, but the mothership is heading for Earth. So that is the end of the Arrow episode, and let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow, Part 3, the final one of the crossover episode, and it is episode 207, titled Invasion once again. So crossover characters in this one include Kara from Supergirl, Barry, Cisco, and Caitlin from The Flash, Oliver, Felicity, and Diggle from Arrow. So we actually get the first invasion of the Dominators in 1951 Oregon, and Mick, Amaya, and Nathan go back to 1951 to kidnap and interrogate a Dominator to try to figure out what their intentions are. They get intercepted by a government agent, and then this leads to Felicity and Cisco, who also time traveled with them, to rescue them. And then they decide to rescue a Dominator, hoping that it would kind of put them in their favor, which doesn't really do well with them. But that's the time traveling trip for that episode. Otherwise, we find out that the Dominators want Barry Allen to surrender since he created Flashpoint, in which that brought back since that is what brought them back. Or they will exterminate all metahumans, as they view them as a threat. Have no idea how the Dominators knew that Barry Allen was the one who created the Flash, but somehow they did. So Barry agrees to the terms, though the team argues against it. Everyone sides to keep Barry with them. This is the part where Cisco actually realizes that Barry is his friend, and he doesn't want him to sacrifice himself as a hero, because he's not a hero to him first. He's his friend first. So there's that. So, because they don't give Barry up, Dominators drop ships all around the world and cause that to be a distraction as the meta bomb, as they call it, is dropped from the mothership. We also, in between here and there, we get Professor Stein's daughter, Lily, who got her PhD in nanotechnology at MIT, working on creating a nano weapon against the Dominators to inflict pain on them, kind of reminiscent of the thorn in a lion's paw, how that kind of gave it some crippling pain. So they wanted to do something similar to the Dominators. Find out that Professor Stein wants to keep his daughter's existence a secret from the Legends of Tomorrow team, since she is the result of him interfering with his past self. Therefore, her own existence is an aberration in itself. Only Jax knows the truth about Lily being an aberration now. So let's move forward to the fight, superheroes versus the Dominators. So you get Sarah and Cisco taking the Wave Rider to locate the meta bomb. They try to slow it down with a tractor beam until Firestorm can transmute it into something less dangerous, in this case, into water. So it's kind of very similar to what they did in the Meteors back in the season 1 finale. So there's that. The rest of the superheroes fight the Dominators in Central City, trying to hold them off, while Barry and Kara use their speed to get all the nano weapon devices on all the Dominators in the city. They have to put them on all of them before they set it off, otherwise setting them off prematurely will have them clued in on what they're trying to do. The pulse of the pain on the Dominators is their distraction, which Felicity activates while giving Firestorm enough time to transmute the bomb. After all that, though, the Dominators do retreat in the amazement of the team. So then after all is said and done, the new president announces her gratitude to the superheroes, and then the superheroes celebrate. We get Felicity and Ray commenting on the fact that Kara looks not only similar to Felicity, but Ray thinks that she looks eerily similar to his cousin. We also get Oliver apologizing to Kara for telling her earlier to stay behind, and she gives him a hug along with Barry. We also get Cisco giving Kara a device that allows her to communicate with them, as well as create breaches to their Earth in case she ever wants to just stop by for a visit, or if they need their help. She actually uses the device so that she can go back to Earth 38. When all is said and done, Oliver and Barry decide to hang out more often and grab a beer together, toasting to their abnormal lives, because every other time they've always hanged out is when the world is about to end. So there's that. So that is all said and done, guys. Let's go on to most shocking moment of the episode. Or episodes, I should say. Sorry if I get tongue-tied. It's been a long day, and my throat's kind of weird. So, first shocking moment has to be the fact that Professor Stein has a daughter now. That's a whole lot better than me thinking that he had an affair, that he has a different wife than Clarissa. I like the fact that he has a daughter. I really hope that he's able to keep her and not having to go back and change the aberration he caused. Another shocking moment for me has to be the fact that Barry creating Flashpoint was the cause for the Dominators to return to Earth. I wasn't expecting that. That really puts the blame of the world's threat on Barry's shoulders, which is a lot to bear. So there's that. But let's go on to top 3 favorite moments. I'm going to give my top 3 favorite moments of each episode part. It seems only fair. So Supergirl's pretty self-explanatory. I love the Kara and Mon-El moments. Every single one of them. Them playing Monopoly, him on the verge of death, and then having that whole kissing scene, him waking up after, and then them just laughing over the lie that he was drooling on her while he slept, and then and then Thanksgiving, when him telling her that he's so grateful for her finding him. I just love these two together. They're my new favorite ship for sure, and I totally see them together, and I hope they do try it out, and I hope it lasts long, because aside from her cousin, Mon-El is really the only person who could truly understand the depths that Kara she can do, what she can do, the history of her planet, because while Mon-El's on Daxam, he has heard things about Krypton as she has heard things about Daxam, so it's like they're not completely alone in the sense, and like they're very similar in DNA, or species DNA, so it's not like whole big of a stretch. They could understand each other. So I'm really rooting for them, for sure. But for The Flash, my first favorite for The Flash episode was the hangar where everyone meets everyone. We get a roll call for Kara on who is who. The fact that they're just interacting with each other. I just love it when all of them were together. I think The Flash had the most characters together in the scene. I think a lot more than the celebration party that happened in Legends of Tomorrow. So I really liked that scene with all of them in the hangar. So there's that. Another thing I liked was the fact that future Barry's message from Legends of Tomorrow was brought up and it was explained. It was really touched upon in the Flash episode. I was wondering what was on that message, and it was great to not only have it pointed out, but to have the repercussions of Flashpoint be discussed. To have it explained to Diggle, who was the only crossover character who really was affected, or that we know of that was affected, and then to have Ray and Sarah react to Barry's decision when they are the ones that are constantly time traveling and changing history to prevent these aberrations. So it's just really great to get that whole conversation going, even though it kind of brought up some unwanted tension between the members of the team before they went into battle. So there's that. Another favorite moment has to be Oliver and Barry sticking together. Essentially, the scene between them in the time vault. I love that scene. I love that this is the moment where you truly see more comparisons between Barry and Oliver. Barry just recently lost his father, lost his mother all those years ago, and then you get Oliver explaining how he had lost his parents and how he had no choice in the matter and how he was forced into the situation where he had to see both his parents be killed, essentially like Barry had to deal with. So it was, in that moment, it was very interesting to see them connect on a more deeper level, because it was just, I really like it. And then the fact that Oliver didn't want to leave Barry behind, and he even agreed to stay behind with Barry while the rest of the superheroes went off to deal with the Dominators for the first time. So I just really like the team bond between Oliver and Barry. I really like the friendship between them. I really like how they would stick together. And I just like the dynamic that they play off well with each other. So there's that. Another favorite for me, last favorite for the Flash part, was the fight scenes, especially the human versus the meta-human. This is when the Dominators mind controlled a few of our superheroes, which causes them to go against Barry and Oliver. So what I really liked especially was Barry using that Zeus lightning move of his against Atom, Firestorm, and Supergirl. He hits all three, but Supergirl manages to get a laser hit off of Barry moments before his lightning bolt connected with her. So it's just great to see him use that move when it was 3 against 1. So that was awesome. Another awesome thing was Barry phasing so that Kara just flies right through him and into the device instead of hitting him. So that was a great use of a move on Barry's part. And also, it was just great to see Oliver fighting against Sarah, because it really shows, because they were both trained by the League of Assassins. So it was just great to see those skill sets of theirs going against each other. So that was cool as well. Now, moving on to Arrow. My first favorite for Arrow was the familiar faces. Especially with it being the 100th episode, you kind of hope that they're going to bring back characters that you've seen over the last 100 episodes. So it's great that we got to do that without it seeming so far-fetched. The fact that it was an alien created alternate reality for them that allowed us to see all these faces was just perfect, because we got to see Moira and Robert Queen again. We got to see Laurel Lance again. This brought up Malcolm Merlyn. This brought up Quentin Lance again. It brought back a whole bunch of old villains as well. So it was great to see all those familiar faces and pretty much seeing how things could have gone if Oliver hadn't been stranded from the Gambit. So there's that. Another thing I liked was the fact that all those different montage flashes that the captive superheroes got of their reality while in that alternate alien universe. I really liked that. It was just a great accumulation of what they experienced, or how, like, it was great to see what moments would pop up for them when trying to remember a certain person. Like, specifically, when Oliver looked at Felicity and he got his flashes of who she was, you saw the first time he met her. You saw her on the first date they had together. You saw her when she got shot after being proposed to. You saw their fake wedding when he put the ring on her finger. It's just all those, and the first kiss that they had together at the hospital after baby Sarah was born. It was just all those moments that built their relationship as a couple. That's what he remembered, and I really love those. And then you get the moments where Oliver remembered John being his bodyguard, and then being his friend, and then being his partner. It was great. It was a great montage to see what moments the characters themselves see as important enough to be those trigger memories. It's really great. Plus, it's also a great reminder as the audience, because 100 episodes, that's 5 years of 5 years of scenes that they had to show, and I really like that. I just really like stuff like that, bringing up old footage like that and making it new in this sense is what I always like. Another thing I liked was the whole team up between Barry and Kara, the whole tag team. Just the whole way they dealt with it, the way they moved. You have it. It seems kind of extravagant the way they do it, but then you got the whole high five for a tag in type thing. You have Barry doing the massive speed punches, knocking her out, and then you have Kara flying in, tag team high five between the two of them, and then Kara just positioning a really zoned out evil doctor, and then her punching him, and then Barry just zooming speed in for a massive arm block. It reminded me of a wrestling, like a very hyped up supernatural wrestling match. It's kind of what it was like, but it fit with Barry and Kara, because they're like that. They're dynamic with each other. So I really like that. But let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow. What I liked was Felicity and Cisco on the Wave Rider together. Their enthusiasm together, and they're just dynamic between the two of them. They play off each other so well. I love when they have scenes together, when they finish each other's sentences. It's always fun, and I'm glad that we actually got a lot of them together in the Legends portion of the crossover. Another thing I like was the fact that the team was trying to stop Barry from surrendering to the Dominators. The fact that all of them had something to say or a stance to show Barry that they were on his side. They weren't going to let him be a martyr and take the fall for it. So it was just great to see them all come together to kind of convince him not to do it, and then to come up with a plan that they could use so that they either all go down swinging or they all win type thing. And another thing I really liked was the team effort in the battle. Everyone had a part to play, and everyone got to use their skill sets and had them work. So I really liked how big the fight scene was. I really liked how everyone used what they could, if that makes sense. The fight scenes in this crossover event were truly spectacular. Like, whether it was metahuman against human or superhero against dominators, it was, I don't even know how to say it. It was just very on the edge of my seat worthy type of thing. But that's it for Legends. But overall, though, a favorite thing I had to say for the whole 3 parts was that Cisco got to vibe in all 3 parts of the crossover. On the Flash portion of it, Cisco vibes to Kara's Earth to pick her up and take her over to Earth 1. On Arrow, Cisco vibes to try to get Oliver's location, which leads them to the fact that they're on the mothership. And then on Legends, Cisco vibes to the mothership so he can talk to the Dominator that they had set free in 1951. So it's just great to see that Cisco got to use his vibe power constantly in all 3 parts. So I really like that. And I guess technically you can count the Supergirl part, but that's still the same one used in the Flash part. So there's that. But let's move on to top 3 peeved moments. Now I gotta say, I got one for each part. So the first part comes from the Flash. And my peeve was the fact that Wally claimed that he gets no respect. And that just really pisses me off, because I figured if he wants respect, he's got to stop disobeying. He's got to stop being a cocky brat. And I do not like the fact that he's trying to rope HR into trying to prove his worth to the team, when HR is already trying to prove that the team can trust him and trust that he can provide some assistance to them when he's not a scientist. I was actually really glad when Supergirl knocked Wally out on his butt, because really, Wally is just pissing me off so much. I mean, I get the kid means well, but you really do not need superpowers to help people. And the fact that that's what he correlates it with is just like, no, just because you have superpowers doesn't mean you have respect. No, you have to be able to prove yourself, but you also prove yourself by showing that you can take orders. You can still listen and take advice and not go over people's heads just because you think you're ready when you're truly not. He's too cocky. So there's that. Second peeved moment I had has to come from Arrow, and that's the fact that Rene Ramirez, aka Wild Dog, blames the arrival of metahumans on Barry, and he blames the arrival of aliens on Kara. He makes it sound like they're the first one, and because they arrived, everyone started swarming to cause havoc. That's not fair. It's not fair to judge Barry on the whole metahuman. It's not like all metahumans are the same. Barry is not the same as every other metahuman. It's not right to just push him into metahumans being evil when he's trying to stop them. Same with Kara. She may be an alien, but you can't just automatically assume she's evil because she's an alien. I didn't like the fact that Renee was automatically judging them when he doesn't know them. And yet here they are trying to save the world. Kara even came from another Earth to help them out, and he's just not having it. It was rude, for sure, especially when they could easily take him out with their powers. So there's that. Another peeve moment for me, coming from Arrow now, or coming from Legends now, is the fact that there was no mention of Damien Dark or Eobard Thawne, or the Legends team just know that it's another speedster that's calming the aberrations. But the fact that there was no mention of them from the Legends team to either Oliver or Barry was kind of disappointing, because we got the whole future Barry message from Legends being talked about on the Flash portion of the crossover, but yet no one on Legends mentioned the fact that they were encountered Damien Dark many times. No one mentioned the fact that they have another speedster that's causing aberrations. I'm pretty sure that Oliver or Barry could have helped with some insight on that matter. Maybe then Barry could have said, well, that's not possible. Or maybe Barry could clue in the fact that Eobard Thawne is still technically alive after the whole Flashpoint issue. Maybe that's why history is changing more than he thought. So it's just the fact that neither of the two of them were mentioned at all was disappointing. But moving on, what will I remember most when I look back on this episode? The fact that it was a four-part crossover event. That's enough said, because that's just a huge thing in itself right there. But let's move on to random questions. Now, this is just a mix-up for all the shows, but random questions that came up. First one is, how is HR the best person to train Wally? He is not like the Earth 2 Dr. Wells, who I miss and I wish was a part of this crossover, especially since they were able to go to Earth 38 to grab Supergirl. Why couldn't they go to Earth 2 and grab Dr. Wells and Jesse? But anyways, how is this HR from Earth 19 the best person to train Wally in being a speedster? Don't really know there. Next question. Was Future Barry's message really about Flashpoint, or was he alluding to something else that he did? Because as I said, that was Barry 40 years into the future. So a lot could have happened then. Next question. Just to clarify, guys, but if Oliver had not gone on the Queen's Gambit, wouldn't Robert Queen still be a target to be killed, since the Gambit was originally sabotaged by Malcolm to kill Robert Queen, who wanted out of the undertaking plan? Because if that's the case, then regardless of whether Oliver went on the gamut or not, Robert Quinn would have been killed and he would not have been part of that alternate reality. I'm just saying. But let me know if you guys agree or if I'm missing something about that in the comments down below. Next question. Whatever happened to Verdant? It seemed like the moment that they relocated the Arrow Cave, they just stopped showing Verdant. They stopped mentioning it. It's just like, why was it shut down the moment that the police department located the Arrow Cave or the old Foundry Cave? It's just whatever happened to it. Next question. Ray mentioned that Kara looked like his cousin when she was dressed as Kara Danvers. Is that meant to mean something more? Because I think if there was a a version of Supergirl on Earth 1, then she would still have to be an alien. So does that mean instead of Kara being taken to the Danvers family, was she taken into the family of Ray's cousins? Is that what we're going with here? And if that's the case, does that mean we will see Earth 1 version of Kara? Maybe? Hopefully? I'm hoping. Cross fingers. Yes. Next question, though. Why haven't we seen Laura or Malcolm in any of the 3 shows? I mean, part 2 of this event, which was the Arrow portion, which was the 100th episode, was the first time that we've seen both of them this season when they are supposed to be signed to all 3 shows as part of the cast, or the main cast. I mean, we're already halfway through the season pretty much, and yet this is the first time we've seen the 2 of them this year. So, what's the deal? So there's that. Let's move on to predictions, though. So, based off the promo for Flash 309, we see Barry calling upon Jay Garrick for help against Savitar. It looks like Dr. Alchemy is trying to summon Savitar. And it looks like some kissing between Barry and Iris, and it looks like it's going to lead to a lot more from the setup of the shot. Now, based off the promo for Arrow 509, it looks like Evelyn Sharp is exposed as a traitor. Prometheus wants Oliver to suffer to the point that he wishes he was dead. And it looks like voiceover insinuations lead to Susan being the one that Oliver loves most, which I call bullshit for sure. And I'll get to it in a moment. Now, promos for The Legends of Tomorrow episode 208 shows Damien Dark and Eobard Thawne returning. I think Al Capone they're trying to make as mayor. And it looks like Captain Cold returns to confront Mick about something. So there's that. But let's move on to quick questions that come up out of all this. From The Flash, I really think, again, that Alchemy is building an army for Savitar with the metahumans he gives his powers back to. And I think that they will follow... There's the timer. I think they will follow whether they want to or not. I think it'll be some kind of mind control thing, because as we know from Frankie, a.k.a. Magenta, she kind of felt like this second overwhelming presence within her that wanted to do bad things. Caitlin kind of felt that when she was Caitlin Frost. So I guess we'll have to wait and see just what Savitar and Alchemy have planned. Now on Arrow, though, Prometheus does this monologue exposing his plan in the promo that is just like what Slade Wilson did when he was talking to Brother Blood back in season 2 about how he wanted to take revenge against Oliver. Now, in the 509 promo, the voiceover of Prometheus' plans has him alluding to the fact that Susan Williams is Oliver's new love, and I have to say I do not agree. I hate that pairing so much, and I hope it's wrong, because that used to be the spot where Felicity used to be. It's like, no. It's like anyone in the city, and he had to pick Susan Williams. It's just like, no, I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, and I'm still going to hate it. The actress still does a great job for the character. I just do not like the 2 of them together at all. So let's go. Legends of Tomorrow. Questions, predictions? Not really, but it looks like the Legion of Doom is going to complete itself in the next episode. Based off the synopsis, which all 3 of them are now posted up already. I just didn't want to include it in this video just yet, though. But guys, that's about it. So what did you guys think of this crossover Whoa. That's what I get for talking too fast. What did you guys think of this crossover event? What do you like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Again, the videos are going to be separated again by the episode, but this is the only one that's going to have multiple shows talked about in one. For obvious reasons in this case. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my Tumblr, guys. Link for that is down below for all 4 shows. Just follow me there if you like. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, stuff like that. I try to be up to date as best as I can. Usually during the hiatus is when I go back and try to refill what I missed. But follow me there if you want to keep up to date what I find for the shows. Also, my WordPress account is attached to my Tumblr page. It's also linked down below. Tumblr, all my Tumblr tags will be redirected to the WordPress account, as it's going to be more detailed and more refined. Otherwise, you'll find anything that I post online connected to my WordPress. So YouTube, fanfiction, Tumblr, LiveJournal, all of that stuff. So you can follow me there if you want. It's a work in progress though, so it's a slow, steady progress for that. But do follow me there as well. And I think I covered everything. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sorry about my voice. Sorry for my flubs throughout the video. But as I said, it's uncut. It's raw. So I do appreciate your patience. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episodes, as 309, 509, and 208 are I believe they're the mid-season finales. So with that said, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.